Well, talk about a scoop, eh? Earlier today, we had the newest edition of the Spittin' Chicklets podcast, and on this show, we had ourselves even more trade updates and little tidbits of information that really get this entire thing more juicy. I've been saying that word a lot over the past 24 hours, juicy, because things are getting more and more interesting when it comes to the Vancouver Canucks and JT Miller. In fact, this is the video that's going on Twitter right now that everybody's talking about. Biz Nasty bumped into the Canucks owner and told him not to panic trade JT Miller for these little offers. Now, because this is a video clip and I don't want to steal any copyrighted material, we're going over onto dailyhive.com because Noah Strang went out there and published an article that transcribes the Bissonnette comments that he makes in that video. Canucks owner asks Paul Bissonnette for advice on the Miller situation. Let's scroll down over here and read what Bissonnette said on the podcast. It happened when he was visiting Marilena, an Aquilini-owned restaurant in Victoria, BC. Bissonnette sees a clear answer in the situation, and he told Francesco Aquilini himself as much. They ran into each other recently at the restaurant, and they had themselves a chat. Regardless of how bad things are with JT Miller right now and the drama surrounding it, you don't give away this asset for nothing. Given maybe the fact that he's a little bit banged up, I don't think he's playing his best hockey right now. Maybe a little bit of frustration with the distraction of all the media stuff. Don't trade him for a first-rounder in Cheadle. That's not the move. Because even if you don't make the playoffs this year and he's not very good, and things fizzle out to the point where maybe he's not even with the team anymore, I don't think it'll get there. How desperate are 10 to 15 teams this summer going to be at trying to get a first two-line center? It's true that the Canucks could likely get more from Miller if they waited until the summer, but with each passing day, the drama and pressure grows in Vancouver. It's affecting their team right now, and the players have even admitted as much. It's been an interesting year, a lot of injuries, some distractions and stuff, said Brock Boeser yesterday. It can be tough to block everything out. Sometimes I feel it affects our team in some games. And this comment was one that everybody was talking about and buzzing about from yesterday. Hey, Brock Boeser just said that the distractions are getting to the team. It actually is something that affects the locker room. Oh wow, they're getting affected by it. And this was a big talking point. And furthermore, it actually was talked about even more. Let's take a look at this comment by Rick Tocchet. He spoke about the outside noise earlier this morning. Whether it's our fault or whomever's fault, it has kinda crept into the locker room. So, heading into the Buffalo Sabres game today, Rick Tocchet went out there and confirmed pretty much that yes, some of the outside noise is presenting itself as an issue in some capacity in the Vancouver Canucks locker room. And so with this, I wanted to go back over onto the Bissonnette thing, because yes, he did speak out about how him and Aquilini met up, and he told Aquilini, don't trade away JT. However, that's not the only piece of information that Biz Nasty dropped on this latest edition of Spittin' Chicklets. Take a look at this tweet that Taj went out there and posted too. Biz said this on the JT Miller situation. My understanding is he has asked for a trade. Publicly, though, him and his agent, they're denying he has asked for a trade. The same thought was posted by Buck Foston. According to Spittin' Chicklets Biz Nasty, he's hearing behind the scenes JT Miller is asking for a trade, but publicly, him and his party, they're saying they didn't ask for a trade. And so with this, it seems like JT could very well be on his way out sooner rather than later, with Jim Rutherford speaking at the Dice and Ice event, with Tej Dhaliwal saying that a trade needs to come, with Biz Nasty going out there and talking about Miller publicly denying a trade, but privately asking for one, and with Bissonnette going out there and pleading to Aquilini saying, no, don't trade this dude, do not trade JT Miller, literally telling the owner to his face in a restaurant in Victoria. It gets things very, very interesting as to where it's going to go. In fact, we had ourselves another tweet that I wanted to dive into here as well. Cam Strickland spoke about this on the Cam and Strick pod, reporting the same thing as Dhaliwal and Drance. The Rangers trade fell apart for JT because of the conditions around the first-round pick, but then Strickland mentions this. From what I hear, JT Miller is destined to go to Carolina. Oh boy. The Carolina Hurricanes and JT Miller. That is one of these situations that they actually did talk about on the radio last night as well. There was a conversation about how the Hurricanes are one of these teams that are very difficult to negotiate with. Even last year, they got themselves Jake Guentzel, one of the best, if not the best, trade targets available at the deadline, and guess what? The Hurricanes didn't pay an extreme amount to get him. They didn't give up a top round pick. They didn't give up some of their biggest and juiciest assets. They gave up a bunch of prospects and some other picks. But they got it done. The Carolina Hurricanes are a hockey team that are willing to walk away if a price tag gets a little bit too out of range. With this in mind, though, we did have ourselves some extra speculation, like from Corey Pronman, as to what this package could actually be. Take a look at this. It was posted on Twitter by Zach Martin. According to Corey Pronman, he thinks the Hurricanes could give up a top prospect and assets for Miller. The trade in question would look like this. Miller in exchange for Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Nikita Artyom, a 2025 first, and a 2026 second. Thoughts? Honestly, this package is pretty big. I am not impressed with Jesperi Kotkaniemi as a player. Nikita Artyom is a pretty good prospect, admittedly. I mean, if we go over to his elite prospects page over here, there's always been a lot to like out of Artyom. We can visit this one right here. So he's a left-handed guy, forward, playing for Torpedo in the KHL, and he's got 28 points in 42 games played. Definitely stable production for a guy who was drafted in the second round in 2024. Artyom is a good player, but is he really somebody that moves the needle all too much in a Miller trade with Kotkaniemi and with a 2025 first? Honestly, I'm not really too sure. Furthermore, when you think about the fact that the Jake Guentzel trade last year didn't include a pick like this, that also gets me a little bit worried as to what this trade could look like. Ultimately, I don't know if this is the package that gets it done, in my opinion, but obviously this is just tossing some ideas out there. Corey Pronman debating whether or not the trade could look like this. But for Cam Strickland to go out there and say that Miller is destined to go to Carolina, for Bissonnette to go out there and say that Miller has privately asked for a trade, and also he had spoken to Aquilini about it, this entire situation is getting more and more ridiculous. Every single day we are seeing more rumors and more stuff, so I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about all of these JT Miller trade updates? Do you think he did indeed ask for a trade? Paul Bissonnette saying that he did. That's his understanding of the situation, and he had recently talked with the owner. So I don't want to rule out his comments here in the slightest. What are your thoughts on Cam Strickland going out there and talking about Carolina? Do you think this is the right destination for a guy like Miller if you're a Hurricanes fan? What are your thoughts about the entire situation? And what are your thoughts as well about this potential trade idea? Kotkaniemi, Artyom, a first and a second. It's a lot to pay for Miller. I don't necessarily know if it really improves the Vancouver Canucks in the now. It would be a lot more of a future tooling move because, unfortunately, Jesperi Kotkaniemi just is not it, in my opinion. But there's a lot of fodder to go out here and dive into, so let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about everything we had talked about here in this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.